Good morning. I am Ramamurthy. I am from Central Institute of Indian Languages. The purpose of presenting this paper is to impress upon the scholars towards the ongoing project in CAA. We have taken a massive project called a Scheme for Protection and Preservation of Endangered Languages. So in that project, we plan to document some 520 languages in the next 5 years. So initially we have taken 70 languages across the country, and the idea of documentation is different from the traditional way of doing linguistics. We normally, linguists produce grammars, dictionaries, and collect some folklore materials. But this is the idea of creating a multi-layer, multi-purpose, electronic or digital document. That is the whole idea. This will be helpful for all purposes. So the topic given to me is endangered languages in Odia. I will talk about endangered languages, general situation of endangerment, then about Odia languages, then how we are going to proceed further. So you all know we are in the era of globalization. Globalization, people say it tries to unify languages and tries to unify cultures. That's why the word of endangerment comes during last 10 years. Earlier we were talking about scheduled languages, tribal languages like that. Now we are projecting everywhere. The buzzword is endangerment, endangered languages. You see the status of language situation in India. We have 2001 census. It says there are 122 languages. Just follow me, 122 languages. Among 122 languages, 22 languages are included in the 8th schedule of the Constitution. Second is another 100 languages in the minor and other languages. This is one level of document. Second level is Anthropological Survey of India. They have given a figure like 325 languages. Just see the contradiction. 325 languages, where 75 are major languages, just by KSC. The others are minor. So 122, then 325. Then you must be knowing about this ethnologue. It says there are around 398 languages. Out of 398, 11 are existing. So there is no consistent use of or giving the figure about the languages. Second, the last thing is UNESCO has released one document where it says that 192 languages in India are endangered. See, totally we have only 122 languages, but UNESCO report says 192 languages are endangered. So that may create, maybe linguists are very familiar about these things, but for other folklore and scholars from other disciplines, it's little difficult to understand what all this means. So the problem is, that in the census or any document, mother tongue is one word they use. There are 1635 mother tongues are there. They are all reduced into 122 languages. See, mother tongue, whether it's given variety is language or dialect, it's always a problem. Even though in linguistics we have mutual intelligibility and dialect continuum, this won't help in all situations. So that whether given variety is language or dialect depends on all political thing. Then all the 122 languages, scheduled languages, 22 scheduled languages constitute around 95% of the population, Indian population. And other minor and minority languages comes around 3.6. So the tribal languages actually comes less than 1%. So we are talking about this less than 1% of the whole Indian population. So this less than 1%. So even though this is very, very insignificant with respect to strength or population, but these languages are very much significant to study the indigenous knowledge system. And the ethnic knowledge system, or we consider that the ethnic or indigenous knowledge system are preserved in this 1% of the languages. So then again, that Ethnologue or the ASI, they are given 375 languages. There's always a problem whether the community or it's a language. Same community, there's a confusion. People say, people mix with both the names of community and language. They say that some languages are called after community names and some communities are called after language names. So that problem is always there. For example, Kru is one community. It lives in different states like Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu. In different places they call Kru, Korava, Kuraga, Kumba, Malakarava, like that. But whether they speak different languages or the same group speaks different languages or that kind of thing is always a problem. So this name of the speech community and name of the language is another confusion in the So if you see the biodiversity, if you see the tribal population, you can see the concentration more on the places where biodiversity is more. So that's why Northeastern region, you can see lots of tribal languages, and also in Kerala, Himalayan region. So wherever the biodiversity is more, that languages we can expect a kind of more languages or more tribal population. And that's why, we all know that linguistic relativism, they are always the biodiversity or ethnic, ecological perspectives or ecological environment always have influence on the language. That's why we have varieties of languages. Even if a particular person lives in different places or particular community lives in different places, they need to adopt the ecosystem, and that's why that the ecosystem influences their language. That's why we find variations. So loss of biodiversity leads to loss of language. That's why we are all, now this deforestation, all these things are going on, and displacement of tribals. That's one of the major causes for loss of language. If we live in their settlement, there will be no problem. I have conducted several tribal communities. If they are displaced, means totally there's a process of language loss going to take place. And as far as Odia language situation is concerned, Odisha in the sources, Academy of Tribal Languages and Culture, they say 62 tribal communities constitute 22.85% of state population, and 62 communities belong to 3 language families, as Professor B.R.K. Reddy pointed out, and they speak some 28 languages, he said, but there are 74 varieties they speak. But how to accommodate all these 74 varieties into 28 languages or less than that also? So these are the complications then. And that was already pointed out by Professor B.R. Reddy. So it belongs to 3 different families: Asiatic, Dravidian and Indo-Aryan. And the spell, we have taken these 9 languages in the initial stage. Our purpose is not to write grammars. So one of the aim is to write grammars, but to document all those languages. See, for example, Bujia community. It's a community. It's an Indo-Aryan community. They speak Indo-Aryan language. There's a Bangla called Lal Bangla, red house, where it's used as a common kitchen, and it's a community kitchen. Nobody can, other person, outsiders cannot enter into that kitchen. If somebody enters, then immediately they burn down the kitchen. So they consider that it's a purest place, purity versus pollution. How in that community, which places are sacred, which places are considered as polluted if somebody enters. And as a Indo-Aryan language, the community is also living there, but they follow the Dravidian system of cross-cousin marriage. So how the cultures influence, and why dress is considered to be auspicious in that community. But for Dravidian, there's some, it is always maybe purity, but the name of dress is always inauspicious. Maybe Tamils, that's again. And Manda language, there's an insect called Husa. Husa insect, they have to prepare the thread out of this insect's saliva.
Yeah.
That's that ethnic knowledge system, and they are using it for as a thread for bows and arrows. So such kind of ethnic knowledge system, we are planning to document that. Documenting is not just capturing photos, but the process. The documentation, that's what I am telling. The project is for recording, activity of systematic recording, transcription, translation and analysis of the language samples in the appropriate social and cultural context. Just not collecting words in isolation. If any riddle or storytelling is there, we plan to document or record that storytelling in the actual social context. Then next, and you all know this all kind of documentations outputs are multifunctional, like linguistic research is possible, folklore, oral literature and folklore is poetics, or anthropology, education, language revitalization for all purposes. It's a multi-purpose record of this documentation. And next. Yes, next. So for folklore, I'm just I've taken only folklore aspect. We plan to collect stories about origin myth of each community. So origin myth must be common to, not common, they definitely must be having one origin myth, each community. So that origin myth we plan to collect. Then stories about plants and animals. So they are living in the environment. So some plants are considered to be very sacred, or some plants, they want to identify some plants with their community. So such plants and animals, which animals they are very much close with, and they may have stories about those plants and animals. Those aspects will document. Then experience their profession. If somebody is honey hunter and that honey gathering profession, they may have some experience about that. That we want to record. These are all common for everywhere, every community. These are all related to professions. All these are the stories about gods and devils. So these stories, we'll ask them to narrate, and the whole narration will be shot in the video form, and it will be recorded in the audio form. Then we use these softwares like Elan and Frost software for giving multi-layer, multi-tier this annotation. This will be helpful for all purposes. Folk proverbs, folk songs and riddles. These are all the technical qualities. Then any item, this is the major idea is any item, for any item, even take for this bottle or any item in the tribal community, what is that name of that item, that language, and what is the purpose, what is the function of that item, and what is the relationship with that item with the ethnic community. Then materials used for producing or manufacturing that item, and who is making that material, and is there any cultural significance attached to that material. Then any belief related to that material or that item, and any other information relevant in connection with that item. So this 7 aspects, any material, even yesterday we have seen so many objects in the museum. For each object, we plan to collect all these dimensions. So that gives us the picture of the entire picture about that item, and that is that knowledge system, how they are producing that material and what purpose they are doing, what is the belief system related to those materials. Those are all the idea of collecting this documentation. And then under 28 headings, we thought of documenting any particular settlement. Settlement, we go to a settlement, aerial profile of that settlement. That people working in the tribal settlement may be knowing. Maybe in the guest house or dormitory may be kept separately, or there are certain rooms where guests are entertained that may be kept in the middle of the settlement, or in some settlement the headman lives in the middle of the settlement, the other huts will be surrounded to that. So such kind of, what is the place of each house in relation to the other house. Then door, which side door is facing. Any isolated houses are available in the hamlet. Role of man and woman in making the house, in constructing the house. So this will be recorded under aerial profile. Then cross view of the front appearance of house and showing any materials hanging in the beam and any pictures are available on the walls. What is that? What is that picture? What is the cultural significance? All those things we plan to document. Then annual picture of the number of rooms. Certain rooms may be used for, we cannot expect so many rooms in the tribal settlement, but there are certain places allotted for puja or for worshipping. Just a small place. What are the things they worship? What materials? Objects. Like morning they were telling some nature worship or pictures. Those kind of things will be taken up. Then granary. What is that? Common? Do they have common granary? All those items. Is a community granary, whole hamlet, or for using specific clan. Clan is very important aspect. As I told you, in the Kru community, even though they live in different states, the clan is the only one thing which unites them. They said they have 7 clans. All people living in different states, they are connected through clans. And clans plays a major role in the community life. So we plan to take clan names and the relationship with the other communities also. And the granary also. This is a kind of sharing work. Which group, whether ladies has particular role to play in particular thing and men, all this kind of sharing. How that we are going to document then. Internal structure of the house. Then, okay. Materials used for making particular structure used for building house. So it's all about house. What kind of material, wood, whether it's a wood or it's bamboo, and what proposition the mud should be mixed. All this. These are all we say it's ethnic knowledge system. This we wanted to document. Nowadays, during my field trip to several hamlets, young generations are not at all knowing any proverbs or riddles. And all I have seen, people, that pictures are there. Old generation, Jainagumba, the youngsters below 15 years, they all have this bunk cut and jeans and t-shirts. But elder generation we can contrast. And every hamlet they have this dish antenna. So when dish antenna comes, then everything is over. So our culture, everything will be destroyed. Then vessels, nature of native vessels used and their usefulness. Vessels used for community bathing. Bathing is also in certain communities they have common bath. For hot water, everybody should contribute their mix. They have to bring water for this common bath, and once they take out one bucket, automatically the same person has to fill it up with the cold water. That kind of system is there. Equipments then. Plates, leaves, okay, then. Kitchen equipments for serving food items. Then measuring equipments. What are the ethnic measurement? That even though we are collecting linguistic data under numerals and measurement system, this is actual. What are the names for measuring solid items? What are the equipments? And what are the measures for measuring liquid? All those things we want to take pictures and their cultural significance. And then storage. Then next. Garden equipments, then devices related to trapping the animals, birds, also fishing. This also, what is that? Yesterday we have seen all these equipments or devices with the names and how the process also we are going to document. That next, fishing, that next. Ethnic food and drinking. Ethnic food and drinks. We all know that they have common ethnic system of brewing liquors. And that, whether they reveal it or not, certain things they may not reveal it, but still we plan to document all these things. Then, ethnic profile. This is a beginning. Whatever the community, we plan to take the close view of that particular community person and side angular view, and what are the ornaments they wear. Each name, how many this thing, what is the holes they have in their ears. Especially this Guja community, they don't wear this nose ring. What is that? Why? Why they are not wearing? Other communities are wearing this nose ring. All those things will be studied. Okay. Then attire. Next. Personal adornment. What are the adornments? Which occasion? What adornment they use? All those things will be documented. Worshipping patterns. Whether they have any temples. For example, this Manda some communities they have a heap of stones as God. And such some community may worship a plant as a god. So all these, whether native pandits are there, all those 7-8 temples are there, Teenage temple and native pandits and special adoration during the festival seasons, all those things will be there. The judiciary, what is the judiciary system they practice? What is the punishment they give? The festivals. Community festival, what are the festivals, individual festival, and music related to musical instruments and music played during that festival. That rhythms also we want to capture. Then transport system, what kind of transport system they are using, bullock cart or mule, and ethnic process. This is from starting birth ceremony to death ceremony, all kinds of technical terminologies as well as the process. Everything will be covered, as well as the songs associated with that. So native games, games played by men and women. Do they have separate games? If they are playing, if such games are existed, what is the logic behind those games? Alright, that logic we want to capture. Then healing system, ethno-medicine. This is also a very important aspect, and each community have their own healing system, depending upon the availability of herbs in and around them. So that knowledge system also want to preserve. So this is a huge, massive, ambitious project. We need thousands of linguists as well as folklorists. So my purpose of presentation is here to impress upon the scholars to join with us in making the project a successful one. Thank you.